What's happening, members of the league? As promised, I wanted to wait for the first throughout pretty much the whole draft now at this point, even though it's still going on, to let everybody know what my mock draft is. A lot of speculation from people saying, "Oh, well, this is who this is going to pick. This is who that's going to pick." You know what? It was a complete waste of everybody's time because, as you know, the draft process does not work like what we expect it to, and where we think people are going, etc. And because we don't know it, no point in me doing it earlier. But today is that day. Taking some news, some notes from the league, also just my overall thoughts actually on how the draft went. Some winners, some losers. Us just get into it. Just too much talk right now, and then I'll actually go through the mock draft and tell you why I'm selecting those people too. First off, the rookie losers in this year's NFL draft. I'm going to pretty much clump almost every quarterback together. Really, a lot of the quarterbacks draft, no, or excuse me, a lot of the quarterbacks dropped. Didn't really get selected by great teams. I mean, Bortles may start right away, but nobody's going to come in and start right away for the most part. It's just not a good situation for QBs. Other than that, it's the running backs. Carlos Hyde going to San Fran. Basically, he needs Gore hurt or cut or retire or something to get a chance. I think he does get a few carries. I think this hurts Lattimore, which hurts me, I think, in this league. Or maybe he's my other league. I don't know. So that kind of sucks. Trey Mason, also hurt. Drafted by St. Louis. I think he's going to be a complimentary back to Zach Stacy, but in a way, he almost is just like Zach Stacy. Maybe a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit quicker. Maybe a slight change of pace back, but that's about it. Jeremy Hill, same sort of deal, running back. He, unless BenJarvis Green Ellis goes out, and then this is going to be the Hill and what's his face show. Yeah, I traded away. I don't even know. This is going to be their show. It's not really a lot of value there. Same with Cody Lattimore going over to Denver. He's going to be fourth wide receiver maybe, and he's a good wideout. So that's kind of a bad situation. Now, if Thomas and Welker leave in 2015, this value goes way up. Starting next year. And the last one, Terrence West, headed over to Cleveland. He's already going to be behind Tate, as we all know, Jared. He also has a clump full of other running backs to battle against as well. So, kind of a tough situation for a few people. Just want to go over those. Some of the winners, I think Sankey's the biggest one. We'll get to him here in a little bit. Cooks, another huge winner, going to New Orleans. I think Evans is a winner. Mike Evans going to Tampa, get into a new offense with a former Bear as a quarterback. McCown, former Bear, head coach. I mean, basically the Bucks are trying to be the Bears, Eric and Derek. So I'll count you as Bears fans as well. Also has Vincent Jackson lined up to his opposite side. So I know Jackson was going up against two defenders, sometimes three every single week last year. So this actually helps me as well with Vincent Jackson. Watkins is going to be a question mark. He's in a good situation to the fact that he's going to be starting right away, but they play in cold weather in Buffalo, and Manuel's throwing the ball, which sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad last year. They're also in a run-first offense. Bridgewater, also a question mark for me as far as back and forth. Again, he could be starting right away this year, but he has Patterson to throw the ball to if he can catch it. Other than that, not a lot. A few more winners. Devontae Freeman, I count him as a winner. Going to Atlanta. Steven Jackson's old. He's worthless. He's on Doug's team. Jacquez Rogers, he's a specialty type back. I think Freeman finds a good role and a good role quite quickly. Williams going to the Giants. Another guy who could pretty much be a starter right away because of the injuries to Wilson. And there's not, Payne Hillis, is he going to start again? No. Couple more winners. Actually, a little Philly connection with Josh Huff and Jordan Matthews. I count both of those guys as winners. Huff because he played for Kelly over Oregon. Matthews is an athlete. He's going to fit very well into that Philadelphia offense. Finally, Carey out of Arizona going to the Bears. He's set up to be their number 2 right away. But anytime Forte has any issues, he will be stepping right in. Also, I mean, how many more years, as we all have talked about before, does Forte have left on his tires? And last one, Devontae Adams out of Fresno going to Green Bay. I put him right in. Um, again, James Jones. See you later. He's not even on the team anymore. Who's going to be their number 3? I think it's Mr. Adams. Hmm. Hmm. Couple not sure's. I'm not going to go into descriptions. Sims with Tampa. Derek Carr, Oakland. We talked about the quarterback situation already. Manziel and Bortles. Marquise Lee in Jacksonville. Partly depends on Blackman, partly depends on Bortles. You just don't know. And then we have Amara out of Texas Tech. Tight end going to the Jets. I think he could be special, maybe a sleeper. But again, it's the Jets. You just don't know what's going to happen. So, now what we've actually all waited for, the mock draft that I have put together. This is going to be mock draft 1. What is this? May 10th, 2014. Actual draft will be taking place in a couple months. I'm sure I will have some updates between now and then. So, with the number 1 pick, we have Jason. He has a few glaring needs I would like to go over. One is running back. Can MJD even have a decent year again? 2, do you have any confidence in Brandon Weeden or Jake Locker if Peyton Manning gets hurt or retires next year? Just saying. So QB, maybe another one. And finally, wide receiver. Maybe like a 3rd or 4th wide receiver he may need. It could even be a 2nd. You know, his 2nd, 3rd, or 4th are kind of iffy. Who does he take for the pick, though? Bishop Sankey from the Titans. Perfect, fit based on his needs. I wouldn't see why he would choose a quarterback that high. The only thing he could maybe do is trade down and get multiple picks to possibly take care of a receiver or a couple of receivers and a running back. Something along those lines. Just some outside thoughts, but if he keeps the pick, I think he takes Sankey. Number 2, we have Mr. Andy Helmolt. His needs, QB, Romo, and what else do you have? And really, Romo's 34, 35. But you just got to start thinking a little bit. Running back, Peterson's great. What about Martin coming off the injury? And the Bucs drafting a running back this year. Couple of thoughts. Running back iffy. Overall, you do have a strong team, so this may be kind of I'm not sure how to classify this pick. It could be he's a very good player available, but it could also be best fit in his offense as well. On top of that, he could actually get a running back position based on usage, and he is a New Orleans Saint, and that person is Brandon Cooks. The number 2 pick. Number 3, we have Jared. His needs, wide receiver. He doesn't have any big name out of his group for the huge games. You have a ton of receivers, but you could possibly move 1 to 2, again, for maybe another draft pick, maybe, I don't know, maybe to free up some cap room, maybe for a running back, a tight end, quarterback, just anything else. Tight end, you do have 3 very average tight ends. Finley, I don't even think is on a team. Selleck was hurt most of last year. And then we have Jermaine Gresham, who splits time with Eifert and will continue to fall back. And finally, QB. Eli Manning had a horrible year last year. Luckily for you, Rivers had a pretty good year. I mean, you have the 2 guys that probably had the most fluctuation in the league at quarterback overall. So you just never know. So out of that, what do you do? I believe you will end up taking Mike Evans, wide receiver from Tampa Bay. Just to spite Eric and Derek, basically. And I do think it may be the right pick for you if the other 2 picks happen, as I just said. 4th pick and 5th pick are held by myself. My needs, I need a 3rd running back behind Bell and Ball. I need a good wide receiver for the long term. The problem is I have a ton of 1-year contracts, which I guess is a good or a bad thing, just depending on how you look at it, but my team will drop off next year as far as who I have. So I got to start thinking more long term. And then tight end, possible backup to Thomas because he's only signed for 1 year. Miller signed for 2 years for cheap because of contracts. And, I'm not overly confident in Miller itself, too. So who do I pick? I got to take Sammy Watkins here. I'm a little worried because, like I mentioned, he went to Buffalo, the cold weather, but he is by far the best player available. No questions asked. With my number 5 pick, what am I doing? I think I might be looking to trade down. That's right. Looking for maybe a trade suitor in this situation, just based on my needs and what I possibly am looking for. If for some reason I'm not able to arrange that, again because of the mock draft situation, I will choose a couple of things here. It would either be Carlos Hyde, running back, strictly for a future type pick. I do have Bell and Ball, do have a couple of young guys. I could have Hyde rolling right up with them as they get older. As the running back situation takes care of itself for Hyde. Another guy, maybe Ebron, tight end. Hate to draft a Detroit Lion, but I'll tell you right now, Ebron at tight end does not look bad to me for the next 4 to 5 years, especially considering I have Thomas at most 2 more years and Miller for 2 to 3 more years. So there we are. Number 6, Andy. We already went over his needs. If Ebron's still available, he will take him. I am not guaranteeing he will be. Hypothetically, if he is not, I'm going to say he selects Jordan Matthews, wide receiver out of Philly. Again, this isn't necessarily a needs-based pick, but I don't think he takes a backup quarterback this high. I don't think he takes a running back this high, unless he wants to develop. But it looks like Andy's all in for this year. I think Jordan Matthews actually gives him more points this year than any running back. So there you are. Derek Naberta, his needs. He needs running backs like crazy. Hunter, Brown, and Ridley are not going to do it. I don't care what you say about Ridley. He's not carrying it. Brown and Hunter are not a viable 2 and 3 option, so you need a running back. You also need a tight end. Owen Daniels. No. You don't have a backup. And finally, you need a backup quarterback to Mr. Stafford. Wide receiver seems to be your only set position at this point. So what do? There's somebody who's looking to trade his 5th pick. I don't know. And he was going to possibly select a running back. If he does that, the tight end's going to be picked. Shoot. Very interesting, Derek Naberta. I would think about that. Anyways, if you don't trade up to get a running back or Ebron, I think you end up taking Devontae Freeman, running back out of Atlanta, because you're an FSU boy. And really, he could be in a good situation. It's not going to help you, I don't think, a ton this year, but maybe in the future. And I like Freeman. Number 8, Roger. Your needs. Well, you don't really have a lot of people on your roster, but big one, wide receiver, is Sanders is your only wide receiver on your full roster. You also need a backup quarterback too, Mr. Cam Newton. So who do you pick? It's going to kill Derek to do this, but you're going to take Benjamin out of Florida State, wide receiver for Carolina. I think he does have a nice year, instant impact. Will be interesting to see how he gels with Cam Newton, but he could be a number 1, 2 wide receiver for a long time. With Steve Smith gone, they need somebody to step up. I don't think it's LaFell. LaFell's average. So here you are. Hurricane with number 9. Who do you need? You can use a 2nd or 3rd running back, tight end behind Witten / to replace Witten starting next year and in the future. Maybe also another trade-up candidate. But also looking at a 3rd or 4th wide receiver due to 2 suspensions on your team. Again, I think this goes down to, is Eric going to play for this year? Is he going to play for the future? Or a combo? Because he may be somebody who's actively involved in trades. If he stays with this pick, I think he takes Andre Williams. Great pick, at the number 9 position, running back out of New York. He has a chance to battle with Wilson, Hillis, and others for that starting job starting right away. Jared, we already went over his needs. I had him selecting Mike Evans, wide receiver, with his 3rd pick. And with this pick, he's going to switch it up a little bit. He's going to take Austin Jenkins from Washington, tight end to Tampa Bay. This is going to be more of a needs-based pick because, again, he has 3 very average tight ends. Tampa Bay currently does not have a tight end, so this guy will instantly be starting. I think he gets some red zone looks. I think he gets some looks up the middle with the 2 big guys on the side. The only bad part to doing this particular way, is he will have both Evans and Jenkins from Tampa Bay. Something to maybe think about, in which case maybe he takes Watkins with the 3rd pick instead of Evans. But who knows? Could be highly invested in Tampa Bay. Number 11, Doug. he needs some QBs, a QB, two QBs. He needs QBs because Sam Bradford is not going to do it. Running backs, you have way too many injuries that happen on your teams with your running backs. Run DMC, your most expensive guy, you can't count on him. I don't know. You need to look at your running back. And the same thing with tight end. You have no backup tight end. Gronk has already gone on record saying he doesn't even know if he'll be ready for the beginning of the season. You're in an iffy situation. So what do? You draft Odell Beckham Jr. And why do you do this? Because that's the only thing that doesn't make sense to do. Wide receiver, best player available. You don't need him, so you'll probably pick him and try to trade him. I'm not sure for what. Maybe one of these other things. But you'll probably ask too much. Number 12, Mike Samuels. Your needs: running back, and running back like crazy. Tight end, Pettigrew might as well be kicked to the curb, and Jared Cook is Jared Cook. So who do you take? You're going to take Trey Mason, hoping for something good to happen out of him. It could be Zach Stacy gets hurt, which he did do last year. It could be just Mason looks amazing, Stacy becomes a complimentary back, maybe they split time, anything. But you need something big to happen. So this is a high-risk, high-reward candidate. Maybe you also are a candidate to trade up as well, or to trade out and get a player or something. A lot of options. So that is mock draft number 1, taken care of on May 10th, Sunday. Gosh, this is long. I'm going to have to split this up into 2 videos. So anyways, sayonara, everybody. Let me know your thoughts below. Peace.